The art world can be understood as a wedding cake. Just go with me on this metaphor. I went and stole stock art off the internet and everything. In fact, I stole this idea from an artist I know named Gail Dawson. The art world is a wedding cake. There absolutely are different tiers. You could have a large category with lots of people who call themselves artists. You could have a slightly smaller category of people who not only make art, but show it somewhere, maybe at their local coffee shops. The next tier gets smaller again, as we move into artists who support themselves through grants, or by showing at regional galleries in major metropolitan areas. It'll narrow still further as we move into increasingly competitive portions of the art world, showing in Los Angeles, showing in New York. Artists who not only have a gallery in New York, but also have museum shows. Artists who have museum shows in New York, or London, or Paris, or are in the Venice Biennale. The art world can get more and more exclusive and more narrow, until finally it's just Damien Hirst sitting in a room by himself. The thing that's important to remember about the snooty exclusivity of the art world understood as a wedding cake is that while yes, it is true that there are tiers, and that those tiers get increasingly exclusive as you move up, the cake can taste just as satisfying all the way down. No matter where you are in the art world, it's possible that that cake is going to be delicious and satisfying. What becomes important is that you identify which kind of art world fits for your art and your interest. You want to know who is in that art world, the one that you're interested in, because who wants to hang out in a room with a smelly old British guy and his dead shark? The metaphor breaks down a little bit, because probably it would be better to think of it as multiple cakes. Maybe you like chocolate. Maybe you like Italian cream cake because you're smart. Or maybe you like red velvet because you're a freak. The point here is that finding your audience starts with identifying your audience. Which art world are you part of? Which art world do you want to be part of? Who's in that art world? And how do you reach them? Another possible metaphor for your audience is to think of them as rings of concentric circles. Flip went crazy with the metaphors in the stock art. In the center, you have your core audience, the people who are actively interested in your art and directly support you in some way. As you move out from that core audience, you have those people who are still engaged with and aware of your art, but in some way are less directly involved. Then you can move out into the people who kind of know who you are and are vaguely aware of the things that you do. Past them, you can get into the people who are potential audience members. They don't know you yet, but they would be interested if they were to find out. And eventually, you could get to the people who are never going to care what you do because they aren't interested in art at all. When thinking about your network, the group of people that in some way you have some connection to, it is important to balance maintaining the relationship with that core audience while also cultivating what in sociology are sometimes called weak ties. Weak ties are actually really useful to you. Think about the people who know your art right now. It's going to be family, it's going to be teachers, it's going to be friends and classmates. The chances of them knowing about an opportunity that you don't also already know about are actually pretty small. You're all going to know roughly when you need to apply to get a show in the mini gallery. But if you maintain contact with that audience in 3 to 5 years, as you and your classmates move around and disperse, they might not be part of your core audience anymore. But because you've maintained contact with them, they might be part of your network of weak ties. And in an odd way, they might actually be more helpful because when you move to Denver and your classmate moves to Portland, your classmate in Portland is going to know about art opportunities that you don't know about, and vice versa. So you want to get into the habit of maintaining contact with the people in your audience, and ideally expanding that contact like ripples on the water.